Which Wildcats are going to the draft? What is to be done with an NBA owner whose racial comments caused a public outrage? And will the NBA and NHL playoffs be shaken up by a couple big upsets? All these questions will be answered tonight on Dorm Room Sports Chat. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our studio in the Park Student Union. I'm your host, Joey Petrello, with our analyst, Danny Passavoy of Go AZ Cats, and Arizona Student Media's Zoe Wolkowitz. The NFL draft is coming up in a couple weeks, and we could see several Arizona football standouts get their names called. Last season, no Wildcats were chosen. However, one who is a lock to be selected this year is running back Kadeem Carey, who rewrote just about every single season and career major rushing record at Arizona. Carey, who is also a Tucson native and Canyon del Oro High School alum, offers a dangerous combination of agility and pass catching. Within the course of 3 years in the backfield for the Wildcats, Carey rushed for over 4,200 yards and scored 48 touchdowns on the ground. The past 2 seasons, he produced Heisman Trophy caliber numbers, rushing for nearly 2,000 yards in his sophomore and junior campaigns. At the NFL Combine, Carey ran for a 4.7 40-yard dash, tallied 19 reps for the 225 bench, and had a vertical jump of 32.5 inches. Kadeem is projected by many to be drafted anywhere from the 2nd to even the 4th round. And I want to know, what do you think, how much of that is because he went to school in a West Coast area?
Well, I don't really believe that he's going to go in the 2nd round because running backs, especially in this new era, running backs are just not a priority draft pick. But I think that since he went to a school in the Southwest that's, especially Arizona, is not known as a big football school, that did have an impact. It wasn't getting as much media attention or any attention, and especially since he went to high school in Tucson, especially in Oro Valley, it's not one of a big football Loyola or something like that.
You know, I agree with this whole thing that sure, TV and the games are on late. A lot of the cases that is for Arizona football games, so not as much of the country gets to see him. But you better believe that there isn't a single NFL GM that hasn't seen tape on Kadeem Carey. So as far as the TV thing goes, I understand that, and not a lot of people really get to see him play unless you're going to stay up past midnight on the East Coast a lot of the time. However, NFL GMs know what they're doing. They know Kadeem Carey's name. They know that a 4.7 is probably pretty slow for him and that his biggest liability is probably his speed. I don't think having the TV be so late in the East Coast and not have as many people be able to see him is going to affect his draft stock as much as it is his speed, really.
Okay, well, Danny, Carey also obviously has the most NFL buzz going for him right now as far as the Wildcats roster goes. But for the other ones, maybe trying to get on the map, Jake Fisher, Marquise Flowers, maybe those names come to mind. What other Wildcats do you think could have successful playing careers on Sunday?
Well, I think really only 2 other ones have a shot of even getting drafted or getting picked up of a team through free agency. One being Marquise Flowers, like you said. Jake Fisher already has a job. I really don't think there's a really spot for him in the NFL right now. The other being Shaq Richardson. A lot of people were extremely impressed with the way that Shaq played in his Senior Bowl and has just performed at the Arizona Pro Day. I think he's a guy that may emerge as a 5th-round draft pick and might even earn a spot on an NFL roster come day one.
Well, I personally don't believe that there's another Wildcat actually ready to be drafted at this point, and making a 53-man roster on Sundays. This draft is so deep with so many good quarterbacks coming in that's taking up a lot of space in all the rounds. So, I mean, maybe another Wildcat could be projected and maybe drafted, but definitely not make a final roster for a team.
Well, the NFL draft will run from Thursday, May 8th through Saturday the 10th. Our questions will be answered then. An enormous controversy has emerged for the Los Angeles Clippers after racist remarks from their owner Donald Sterling went viral. We have conversation on that after these messages. You are watching Dorm Room Sports Chat on UATV Channel 3.
Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hoff. Get Hoff with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
may have fleas, but I run a yard. I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog.
Thanks for staying on board for DRSC. I'm Joey Petrello alongside Danny Passavoy and Zoe Wolkowitz. A grease fire has erupted in the front office of the Los Angeles Clippers. The past weekend, a major question of integrity arose in the NBA when Clippers owner Donald Sterling made racist comments to his girlfriend over the phone. Sterling said he didn't want her posting photos to her Instagram with other African Americans or bringing them to Clippers games. The issue came about after Sterling's girlfriend put a picture of her with Magic Johnson. The racist comments sparked outrage from numerous NBA icons like Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal. The Clippers players even wore their warm-ups inside out before Game 4 against Golden State, and head coach Doc Rivers is already questioning if he should return to LA next year. So Zoe, there's no question that Sterling's words have affected his own team, but definitely many others around the NBA and even sports. So as an NBA owner, do you think you should give up that job with the Clippers?
Yeah, I mean, I know the whole bylaws with the NBA, and you can't really, like other sports, force an owner to sell their team, but he's like, besides the whole players returning, and even if his NBA team will be good, he's losing a ton of endorsements, a ton of big fan base with it wasn't just about African Americans. His comments were about many different religions, minorities, a ton of different people. So he's losing that, and even tonight before the game, the national anthem person said, nope, I'm not singing. So besides even the having not good players return and not having a lot of those main key players return or a coach, I think in money-wise, he's not going to have any endorsements or anything.
Well, like you said, he can't be forced to sell the team because he is the owner of a team, and when you own a business, you can't really be forced out of it. However, this is a time where Adam Silver, who is in his first year as commissioner of the NBA, took over for David Stern, can really put his foot down. And the most that he can really do right now is suspend Sterling indefinitely, and then bring up a vote among the other owners of the league, which I'm sure will be unanimous at this point. And what the owners of the other teams in the NBA will do is basically force his hand and not refuse to play with them, but they can vote to basically suspend him even farther indefinitely. And at that point, there's really no room to own a team, so he'll either relinquish his power to someone right below him or decide to sell the team. And at this point, he doesn't really have a choice. He's not going to own an NBA franchise now or in the future ever. Just this is a little bit way too far. However, they can't force him to sell. So he might still have a say in the team, and players might still refuse to play for that team, but he cannot be forced to sell. He can just be urged out hardly.
Well, and then going off of that, Danny, you even touched up on this a little bit with Adam Silver. If you were in his position, how would you choose to go about the situation? You talked about suspension, obviously, but is there anything else that you might be able to do, possible?
It's really tough, and especially right now, you're in the midst of a heated playoff battle in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
So you can't have, as Adam Silver, you can't have players refusing to play. That's worst case scenario. That's worse than endorsements going out. If players aren't playing, people aren't buying tickets, those endorsements don't matter at all. So he needs to come down hard on Sterling now. And that announcement I heard is coming tomorrow per ESPN. So we should get that tomorrow. I'm guessing he's suspended indefinitely, not allowed at a Clippers game the rest of the season. And then it'll be up to the rest of the owners to urge him out.
Yeah, I'd agree that the time right now where it's crucial to win, and especially in a Warriors-Clippers playoff series, you can't have this distraction in general. And there was a player that came out a few years ago that, when something big finally comes out, more people step up and say their story. And there was a player that said that he was African American as well, and that even he played from 2008 to 2011, and he didn't even feel comfortable playing in the same room as Sterling. Like every time he'd walk in, he'd get frigid, tense up. And so I think that although the NBA can't put 100% regulations on Sterling and what he's going to do with the team, that there's going to be, even for his own team, that he should just not be there and not be a part of that for right now.
And what does this even mean for the Clippers franchise and their players, especially with Doc Rivers saying he might not even want to coach the team next year? This team is just kind of it's in shambles almost, and they're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, I understand that too, but at the same time, these players know how hard they've worked to get here. Doc Rivers even said today, although he doesn't know about his future, they will be playing, and they will be playing at their hardest because they know how hard that they've worked. I think Sterling will be out. The Sterling whole family will pretty much be cut ties from the Clippers before next season, and this will be a non-issue. Doc Rivers will come back, and all the players will obviously still want to play for Doc Rivers. But as long as this isn't hanging over their heads and Don Sterling is officially out, the Clippers aren't really in shambles. They're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, and I actually heard a rumor that maybe Magic Johnson was going to buy off the whole Clipper. It's just really ironic, right?
Yeah.
So that would be good, and that would draw a lot of, it would kind of like rebound the whole situation with all the racist comments to having someone then like Magic Johnson take the lead on that.
Yeah, and I think it would be a fresh new face for the franchise too, and it would be somebody that he was the biggest victim, I think, of all those racist comments because they originally rooted from a post that he was in the picture of. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. A pair of potential upsets are brewing in the first round of the NBA and NHL playoffs. Our analysts will debate the contenders and pretenders of both leagues when we return after the break. You are watching Dorman Sports Chat on UATV Channel 3. Keep your remotes right where they are because we're back with DRSC. Once again, I'm Joey Petrello with Danny Passavoy and Zoe Wolkowitz. So Zoe, in the NBA, the Indiana Pacers had the Eastern Conference's best record during the regular season, but they're tied in the first round at 2 games with the Atlanta Hawks, who barely made the playoffs with a record 6 games under 500. From what you've seen so far, are the Pacers still contenders, or have they lowered themselves to pretenders?
You know, Joey, I'm going to say that they've kind of lowered themselves as pretenders at this point because they're incredibly mentally weak at this point, and they started off the season so hot and one of those teams that you were just like, all right, they're going all the way. But the second half of the season, they just started losing games, and when you start losing games as a team, that's the most crucial part, to pull together as a team and work out your stuff. But instead, they just started pointing fingers and had the worst sportsmanship I've seen. And Lance Stevenson had gotten into 2 fights after that, and not fights with other players, fights with his own teammates. And as well, they're playing a team that's very small and plays small ball, and their biggest thing was always hitting Roy Hibbert, who's a 7'1" center. And you know, when you play a team that's completely throws off your dynamic, it's going to throw off your whole team's dynamic.
Yeah, I completely agree. They're totally pretenders right now. I think they've had the second worst winning percentage since the All-Star break of any team to have a number 1 seed in the last 50 years. And where has Roy Hibbert been, like you said? He had 3 points in 2 games and 1 rebound. That's unreal. Your 7'1" center had 1 rebound in 2 games. How does that happen? The Pacers are completely pretenders. The East is for the Heat.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you guys, too, does that pretty much mean we can count on the Heat being in the finals?
I mean, if you
For
look...
the fourth consecutive year.
Fourth consecutive year, I say yes. I mean, but look at their road. Who are they going to have to play? They're going to have to play the Bobcats, then likely have to play the Wizards, and after that, they'll probably have to play Toronto. What kind of playoffs is that? They're playing no one. I think the Lakers might have been able to get to the finals if they were in the Eastern Conference.
What do you think, Zoe? Are the Heat going to be there?
I think they're going to probably just roll on by their conference, but I think the Thunder is going to beat them in the championship game. Yeah, I'm a big I don't know. There's something about the Thunder. KD's, he's the man.
I think if anyone could, it's probably either the Thunder or the Clippers. If you're watching the Spurs right now, this is a must-win game for them. And I'm sure the game is over right now, and they were up 10, at least in the third quarter. But this was a must-win.
And the Spurs lead the Mavericks 87-84 with just over a minute and a half to go in the fourth.
Wow, so the Mavericks came back. Exactly. So the Spurs really cannot hold off Dallas right now. And Dallas is a older team, but they have young guards. And I don't think the Spurs and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and guys like that and Danny Green are able to keep up with the team with two very fast guards. So that's why teams like the Thunder, that's why teams like the Clippers will be able to give them a lot of trouble, especially in the Western Conference Finals if they make it.
Yeah, and the coolest part is the Mavericks are the eighth seed. And you know, it's a March Madness thing. When a team maybe not has been strong all year, when they get hot, they get hot. And so the Mavericks might have a chance to be that upset for the season.
They very well could be. So, Danny, as for the NHL, the Colorado Avalanche looked like a team that could go all the way after earning 112 points during the regular season and the second seed of the Western Conference. But the Avs could be going to 7 games against the Minnesota Wild, which are a wild card team. So are the Colorado Avalanche still Stanley Cup contenders, or are they now pretending?
You know, let's say they do win this game, they're gonna have to play the Blackhawks in the next round, and the Blackhawks look good. They look very good.
Stop looking at me.
And I'm only looking at you because of the St. Louis Blues, like you predicted to be in the finals. But no, the Blackhawks look very good. I don't think the Avalanche have a chance right now.
And actually, the Wild won 5-2 today, so.
Well, there's your answer right there.
Game 7.
Yeah, Game 7s are always the best, but I don't like to admit it, but the Blackhawks do look really good, even though they took some cheap shots to the Blues, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I agree. The Avalanche have completely gone downhill.
Well, now that the Avalanche are out, the Wild don't really match up well. The defense of the Blackhawks is just way too good right now, and Patrick Kane is playing out of his mind. However, I don't think the Blackhawks match up well with the Ducks. I think Getzlaf is this playoff's MVP, and Frederick Anderson is playing out of his mind in gold right now. I don't think the Sharks or the Kings, should they be able to come back from 3-0, which they might, really have a shot against the Ducks. I think the Ducks end up representing the West in the finals.
And Zoe, you said the last episode you thought St. Louis would be the team from their conference to go to the finals. So who's your new pick for that?
Well, if the Sharks end up winning against the Kings tonight,
They're tied at 1 in the third.
I know. I mean, if the Sharks actually do, no matter what, the Sharks were up 3-0 and they're already losing. They look very bad right now, so I'm gonna go with the Ducks, going conference finals.
So now you two agree on something.
Yeah, about time.
That's good. All right, well, don't change the channel because we're capping the show off per usual with a round of 30 seconds. You are watching Dorman Sports Chat on UATV Channel 3.
Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hawk. Get Hawk with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
it's been fun, but we got to run. It's time for a game of 30 seconds to close the show. In this game, Danny, Zoe, and I get to voice any particular topic in sports of our choosing. But we only have half a minute. Zoe, lead us off.
Well, a few games ago, LeBron James was going up for a breakaway layup and just completely midair just stares down Michael Jordan, like from the court when he's midair in a layup. And it was evident to anyone. You can rewatch it multiple times. And the best part is then he goes into his press conference after and doesn't be like, oh, I was just happy to see him, or like make up some kind of lie. And he just blatantly was like, nope, did not look at him, when he definitely did. He's the cocky guy that would do that too.
Well, I think that there's definitely an unspoken rivalry kind of between them, because LeBron is chasing to be what Michael Jordan was, and that legacy, and especially if he wins it again this year, he's coming close. He's done pretty much all and more that Jordan has done, especially at the age that LeBron is now.
Well, we'll see how many championships LeBron ends up with. I think LeBron has potential to be the best NBA player ever, just based on size and basketball ability alone. I mean, there's just no way around that. I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan, and I'm sure LeBron still has a bitter taste in his mouth from Michael saying that Kobe's the only one who can compete with him. However, I mean, his size alone makes him probably the best player ever.
I saw like a meme after it, and it was like it was Michael Jordan's coming out of retirement. With a picture of him just eyeing him down.
He might need to if he wants to be atop all those records.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Danny, you're up.
So, since we're on the topic of hockey, and the Kings just scored to go up 2-1 against the Sharks late in the third period, hopefully we'll win this game and force a Game 7 back in San Jose. But let's talk about West Coast hockey. The West Coast is not known for their hockey by any means. But let's look at the last 9 years. In the last 9 years, a team from California has been represented in the Western Conference Finals every single year. Be that the Ducks, be that the Kings, be that the Sharks. 9 years in a row, West Coast hockey taking over.
You guys have so many teams.
It's only 3.
Yeah, that's still 3. That's still no.
It's a big state.
If you viewers couldn't tell, she is from St. Louis and he is an LA native. So I enjoy actually like the homerness that you guys bring. I enjoy it. But I wanted to close this out by doing a quick 30 seconds on the Arizona rugby team. They are in the Final Four, and we actually had their head coach Sean Duffy come onto this program, and also Trevor Lowy, who is their captain. Big guy, and it's just very exciting for this rugby team, who especially they lost their coach, Dave Sitton. He died over the summer, and there was so many questions that arose about them, but really, the guy that has come in, Sean Duffy, has just done a phenomenal job. They're in the Final Four now, and the future looks bright for Wildcat rugby. And we also would want to give a quick congrats to Wildcats softball first baseman Hallie Wilson on earning her second Pac-12 Player of the Week honor today. And we'd also like to thank you all for being on board with us tonight for DRSC. Be sure to catch us again next Monday at 9 for our final episode of the semester. If you missed part of tonight's or even any episode of the semester, they can all be viewed on our YouTube channel, UATVCH3. For our analysts and production crew, I'm Joey Petrello, cordially wishing you a wonderful rest of your night. You are watching Dorman Sports Chat on UATV Channel 3.